I was raised by a messy parent who would start beef with all the other parents, including my teachers. And as a young kid in elementary school, this was incredibly isolating because I would have a solid group of friends that I would hang out with at recess and do class projects with. And then one day they'd come up to me and tell me that their parents no longer allowed them to be my friend. So I would go home and tell my abusive alcoholic mother who raised me what happened. And she would say, "Oh, it's that parent's fault and that parent's fault. It would never be her own." The older I got, the more I realized, oh, she's the problem. But as a young kid, I had no idea what was going on. Instead, I just knew that my friends wouldn't talk to me anymore and that I didn't have a safe place at home. And now I didn't have a safe place at school either because I was also isolated and shunned at school. It was especially hard in elementary school because I was just old enough to start gaining sentience to figure out what was going on, but I wasn't old enough to have enough autonomy to walk away from the situation. I still had to rely on these adults who were beefing with each other to advocate for me. And oftentimes they failed because instead of viewing me 7, 8 years old as a victim in that situation, they viewed me as an extension of my mother. While I understand that kids often are who their parents are, especially the younger they are, because they don't have a way to separate from that behavior except for school. I also wish person and environment was more common to consider. If my mother was abusing these parents as adults, perhaps I was getting the same or even worse treatment at home behind closed doors because there were no other adults in that home to hold her accountable to not treat me like shit. They did not view me as a child worth taking care of. They viewed me as not their problem. I swear, as an adult with CPTSD, it's like every single day I find something more messed up about my childhood. And then what I find even more messed up is how normalized it was. And then my mother wonders why I've been no contact with her for several years.